Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the BGF podcast. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
Today we're going to do something a little bit different for you guys. The football season officially came to an end last week, and, props to the Chiefs.
Unfortunate end to the season.
But now we start the dreaded offseason. Every football fan's worst nightmare. 8 months of no football. Insane. Anyways, we're a month away from free agency. We're 10 weeks away from the draft, so we decided to give you guys a bit of fantasy content in the meantime. See if you guys interact with it, how you like it, whatever. Leave us a comment down below. And today we're going to do some buy lows, see who we have rated high that we might want to trade as well. We'll get into that a little bit later. But so start this off, Brandon.
So for our buy lows, we're going to be using keep, trade, cut, and where they're valued there to see what the market's telling us on how these players are valued.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off here with a wide receiver 65 right now in Dynasty. DeAndre Hopkins. He's coming off a year where he put up 75 receptions for 1,057 yards and 7 touchdowns. He is turning 32, so that's obviously why he is ranked so low. But I don't think he's washed. I still think if you're putting up 1,000 yards, still got it. And I'd expect him to stay in Tennessee. I would like to see him get traded, obviously, to get a ring at the end of his career, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he will stay in Tennessee. And now with Brian Callahan, the new head coach and former offensive coordinator of the Bengals, I'd expect their offense to take a jump, and especially with Will Levis having a full season and a full offseason, knowing he's a starter, I'd expect big things from this Tennessee offense. I'm pretty high on a few of the guys on the offense. And so if you look at some trades that you can make on Fantasy Calc, he is going, let me just get him up here. DeAndre Hopkins. I'd seen earlier Elijah Moore in a 3rd-round pick. That's a deal. If I'm a contending team, I'm hitting accept 1,000% on that. That's an easy deal for me. You can also see here DeAndre Hopkins for a 2024 4th-rounder. No-brainer if you're a contender. Even if you're not a contender, I think you can flip him for something more than that. Tyler Lockett and Xavier Gibson. I think Tyler Lockett, we've seen this year, he's kind of hitting the back end of his career, so I would easily do that. A 2026 second. If it's a 2026 second, I think I would do that. And if you're trading a 2024 one, if it's a 212, a 210, or like one of those later back end seconds, I would do it. So anything 210 and later, I would do for DeAndre Hopkins, and I think he's being severely undervalued right now. When you see he's under guys like Marvin Mims, Rashid Shaheed, Michael Wilson, I think this is a guy you gotta go trade for. And even if you're not a contender, I think if you can get him for cheap and then flip him to a contender during the season. Obviously now that we're in the off season, it's gonna be harder to deal guys because everyone's wants all the young talent and all the hypothetical. But you can keep him during the season for a few weeks, see if he does well, and can trade him for something better on a team that's looking to compete and has injuries. That's another option. I don't mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that 1,000%. But anyways, I got someone here on the running back side of things. Let's look at that running back market. My boy, Mr. Ty Chandler. Currently the running back 49 on the board, 197 overall, and I think that's just way too low for Ty Chandler. You have a guy here who's 25 years old with RB1 upside, especially considering that running back room in Minnesota. We know Madison ain't the guy. Cam Akers is coming off a season-ending injury, so how healthy is he going to be week 1? We don't know. But you have a guy in Ty Chandler who's still playing on his rookie contract, who's entering the 3rd or 4th year of his contract. I'm not entirely sure of that. But either way, posting up better numbers than Madison as the backup. He's only started 5 games officially for the Vikings, and in those 5 games, 102 carries, 461 yards, averaging 4.5 a pop with 3 touchdowns. Sadly enough, that 3 touchdowns is leading the team in rushing touchdowns for the year. I think he's tied with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. No, Josh Dobbs.
Or Josh Dobbs, yeah, sorry. Right? It was one of the quarterbacks. Anyways, insane. That's just not normal. You needed to start this guy earlier. I was screaming for him way early on in the season as a Vikings fan especially, and I love the upside on this kid. I think next season he is going to be the RB1. If not, it will be a split between him and Akers. I don't see Madison returning.
I hope not.
I hope not, at least. But yeah. Anyways, that's my buy low candidate right now, running back.
So if you look at some trades that you can make for Ty Chandler for a 2024 3rd, I think if you're getting a guy with
RB1 upside,
I don't hate that. Ty Chandler and Madison for 2/3, so basically the same trade. Ty Chandler in the second for Zamir White. That I'm not too big of a fan of that. I wouldn't give up that much for Zamir White. Ty Chandler for a fourth. Obviously, that's another deal that I would take. Ty Chandler for Curtis Samuel. If we can get basically Ty Chandler for one of these like wide receiver 3 type of guys that their upside's kind of capped, I would do that. So
yeah, take a shot, man. Take a shot at the running back, especially if we know how slim the running back room is in the NFL just in general, especially the fantasy scene. There's maybe like 20 legit RB1s, and then the rest is just like a fall off. But yeah, take a guy who has upside. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be dominant, but I do think he has that 1,000-yard season, 8-9 touchdown type thing. Plus, he puts work in the receiving game, 21 receptions, 159 yards, 7.6 average. Out the backfield, this guy's explosive, and that's what you need in a running back, someone who can break runs, and I love this guy. So
as a Niners fan, I saw him live, him on those screens. He was destroying us. But anyway, I'll get into my next guy. It's a guy that's been forgotten in the Dynasty space. It's Greg Dulcich.
Yeah.
You can basically get this guy for free right now. He is, like, I've seen him on waivers in a bunch of my leagues, so I think he's a good option. He's obviously been very injury prone throughout his career. He's in his rookie year. He missed the first 5 games, I want to say 6 games. Yeah, the first 5 weeks, and then once he came in, he looked very good. He had multiple games of 80-plus yards. And as a tight end, he was one of Russell Wilson's favorite targets. Obviously, now they don't have Russell Wilson, which they'll probably have a rookie quarterback, which I think bodes well for him. Rookie quarterbacks, they usually lean on the tight end as their safety blanket, so that'll be good for Dulcich. And he is 6'4", good size. So the only issue I have here that's a bit scary is Sean Payton. We know Sean Payton gets weird with his tight ends.
He does.
We brought from New Orleans. He likes his guys. Sean Payton, we've seen it with the kickers when he brought in Will Lutz. He just likes his guys, but I don't know. Situations do change in the NFL, and for the price he did, Greg Dulcich, I would take it. And we've seen it in his rookie year when he was having those big weeks. He got up to tight end 8. So if I can get a guy with that sort of potential, for basically free, I would take a chance on it. And if you go look at trades for Greg Dulcich, you can get him for
nothing.
Yeah, for a second I wouldn't do that. Even if you're Greg Dulcich for a 5th, basically what are you gonna get in the 5th? You're not gonna really get much in there. You're getting guys that are probably not gonna play. So I would do that. Greg Dulcich for Chiga Okonkwo. I think that's kind of an even trade, kind of a wash, but I would do that. A lot of these deals are kind of deals where he's just kind of filler and added in. But if you can get him for anything where, like we said earlier with Chandler, one of those wide receiver 3s that are capped and kind of older, like a KG Osborne or something, that's the type of deal I'd be looking to make and see if Greg Dulcich can maybe get his career back on track. It's really for him. He has to stay healthy. He has not been able to do that in his career. And if he can do that, and if Sean Payton can finally trust him, and with the rookie quarterback, anything can happen here, then maybe he has a bounce back.
No, for sure. I definitely like that. And then moving on along to mine, we're going to keep it in the tight end space. I got a guy who's sort of been slipping ever since he's come into the NFL in Kyle Pitts, right now tight end 7, 72 overall. And the thing with Kyle Pitts, right, last season you had Arthur Smith come in as your head coach. Whatever reason, Jonnu Smith was the tight end 1. I can't tell you why. But the thing with Kyle Pitts is I want us to look back at his rookie season. 110 targets, 68 receptions, 1,026 receiving yards. That is big. He got targeted a lot. Hasn't really seen that amount of targets, except this year he got 90. However, he was playing with quarterbacks who couldn't throw him the football, so it was sort of all over the place. He wasn't utilized to his full potential, especially in the red zone. We know how big this guy is. Just use him. That's why you brought him in, 4th overall, whatever the pick was. And yeah, Arthur Smith is out. I wouldn't be scared to draft this guy. Look at his rookie year. He has that type of potential in him. He's one of these just unicorn tight ends that come every once in a while. Someone like Brock Bowers coming in this year, but I think he's very underrated right now, and you're not going to get him much lower than this. I think this year he's going to be up there, tight end 3-4 range.
Hopefully this is finally the year where it happens. But yeah, if you want to look over trades,
I feel like you can get him for a steal. I'm not too sure what his value is right now in the fantasy space, but
like here, the first one, Jalen Hyatt and a 24-1 for Kyle Pitts. Depending what the 24-1 is.
Yeah.
If it's anything If it's from the 110 to the 112, I don't mind it. I think, especially the tight ends, there's not that many good ones, so
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts does pop. I don't hate that. Here we have, again, Kyle Pitts for a 1, so really what he's kind of trading for is a late first rounder, which I don't hate.
If you can get him
Kyle
for
Pitts-
anything
Kyle
past
Pitts
the
for
1,
Jaden Reed. That's an interesting one. I think I would take Kyle Pitts in that scenario.
I think so too. I would probably go with Kyle Pitts on that one. The thing with the Green Bay receivers is we don't know. There's too much uncertainty there. There's too many guys.
Like with Jaden Reed, he did have a great year. Like he was one of my waiver wire pickups of the year. But even towards the end of the year, he just has games where he just won't be utilized, or especially in the passing game, they don't utilize him as much. So I'm kind of scared off with Jaden Reed. So if you can do that, Jaden Reed and Kyle Pitts, I wouldn't be against doing that. And yeah, so anything else to add on Kyle Pitts?
That's it. Expect a big season. That's all I gotta say.
Anyway, next up for me, Will Levis, another Tennessee Titan. I talked about it earlier with Brian Callen coming in. He's got all the traits that you want in a quarterback: 6'4", rocket arm, and with an offensive-minded head coach. I'd expect him to take a jump this year. Obviously, we saw him come in against who did they play in the first game that he started? I don't remember who it was, but
when he came in and threw for 300.
Him and DeAndre Hopkins absolutely went off in that game. So
Yeah.
I expect Will Levis to have a good year. He ended up he had a 3-6 record, not great, but that Tennessee team wasn't anything special. 1,808 yards and 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. He is ranked below guys like Matthew Stafford, Deshaun Watson. I don't know how he's still ranked this high. I get what he did earlier in his career in Houston, but that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. I feel like gotta let it go. I'd rather take a chance on a younger guy like Will Levis instead of an older guy like Deshaun Watson. We've seen since he's arrived in Cleveland, he's just not the same player. So I'd trade for Will Levis, and I don't think he'd be going for much. I didn't really check yet, but let's look here and see what he is trading for.
He shouldn't be that much. Maybe a late first, early second.
I'm sure one of the early seconds get it done. And in the early second, you're probably going to get a guy like Penix, who we haven't even seen play yet. And I'd expect to go in probably the second round of the draft.
Why'd he skip out on the Senior Bowl? I don't know.
We know his medical history isn't great, so
Yeah.
we're seeing a 2025 first. I don't know. Yeah, you got to look at the team you're trading with.
Yeah.
You kind of have an idea where that pick's going to be. If it's a bad team. If you're going to be a bad team, I wouldn't do that. Here, Will Levis for 2024 third. Honestly, I don't think you could do that, but if you can, take advantage, do that.
Snag it. As soon as you get something like that, why not?
There we go. So, Will Levis, I don't know what the picks are. They should specify it. But yeah, if it's the trade down, I don't mind that too. If you have like the 107 and you're trading for the
110.
if you have the 112, yeah, for the 110, sorry. I will do that. I don't mind trading down and getting a guy like Will Levis, who could be a very startable player in Superflex.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2025 first. Yeah, 2024 second, like we said earlier, early second. That's the type of deals I'll try and do to acquire Will Levis. And a second and a third, I don't mind that either. So yeah, who's your next guy?
So next guy up, I'm going to stick in the tight end room. I got tight end number 14 going 125 overall. Had the best season of his career in Jacksonville, Evan Engram. I absolutely love this man. Last season in Jacksonville, 98 targets, 766 yards. This year, he got 143 targets. Caught 114 of those. That is insane. Those are numbers you see from like elite tight ends, and this guy's going tight end 14 right now. That's insane. I don't know. I get he's a bit of an older tight end now. He's like 29, 30 years old. 29 years of age, but either way, look at Kelsey. He's playing till he's like 33, 34. Evan Ingram's got at least another 2-3 years in him at elite production, especially with Trevor Lawrence, who's a young up-and-coming quarterback. Going to lean on the tight end since his receiving core isn't exactly there yet. And, I just love this man. I think he's going to be phenomenal next season. I expect his numbers to just keep increasing, seeing as Trevor Lawrence matures. And I don't know. I just love Evan Engram. I think he's going way too low right now. Tight end 14 is insane for the season he just had.
Yeah, he finished as a tight end 2 this year. So
Finishes the tight end.
For him to be trading as a tight end 14 in Dynasty is kind of crazy. Like a guy like Cole Kmet, I get him and Fields a pretty good connection late on in the year, but Evan Engram is guaranteed production in my opinion. So
He's guaranteed those like 10 targets a game, so why not take that?
yeah.
Low ceiling, high floor. I love that in my tight ends, especially like 6-7 points a week minimum, guaranteed. He hits the touchdown. That's 14. I don't know. I love me some Cole Kmet, and I'm feeling right now, considering his age and it's a dynasty tight end, he's going really, really low. If you can get this guy for anything like late second, early third, I'm snagging it. I'm doing that 1,000%. Especially if you're in need of tight ends, why not?
I agree. I'm looking at the trades here. I don't see anything too interesting. Yeah, like here, Tyler Lockett and a third. If I could trade that and get Evan Engram,
I'd probably do it.
Yeah, I'd do it, especially if I'm tight end needy. That's a no-brainer to me. What else is there here I could find? Romeo Dobbs for Evan Engram. Again, if you're a contender, I don't hate that deal.
I don't hate that deal at all, especially considering that, like we said earlier, the Green Bay receiving room, the uncertainty there. I don't mind that at all.
Kate Otten in a second for Evan Engram and Dameon Pierce. So you even take a chance on Dameon Pierce in this.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? I would do that. So I think Evan Engram, good target that you mentioned there. And for my last target, buy low target, is going to be another quarterback, and it's going to be Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. I think people are kind of low on Daniel Jones, and I feel like people let the contract like make up their mind on the player. I still think Daniel Jones, obviously, is coming off Achilles or ACL. I'm
not entirely sure.
It is a major injury he's coming off, and for him to be ranked lower than, like I said earlier, Deshaun Watson, Bryce Young, Matt Stafford. Like I know Matt Stafford does put up big numbers, but he's 36 years old. So.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones is still only 26, and he has very good rushing upside, which in fantasy we know is one of the big things you're looking for, especially a quarterback. So to me, if you can get a guy like Daniel Jones for a good price, and like I was saying earlier, people make their perception up with him because he's making $40 million. They think, oh, he's bad, and especially with the money. I think the money he's making actually helps him because they have no choice but to keep him.
Exactly.
So you can guarantee that he'll be the starter for the Giants. I don't think, especially if they're at 6 in the draft, I don't think any of those top 3 quarterbacks will be available at that point. So I think they're going to have to be forced to stick with Daniel Jones. And I think he can have a bounce back here. We saw it. For him to get to $40 million, he had big games, especially against your Vikings. So you know how good Daniel Jones can be for them. And
thank you, Donatel.
Yeah, so let's look at what Daniel Jones is trading for. So here we are. Daniel Jones for DeAndre Swift. I would do that. What the hell is this? 2-4. Daniel Jones for a second. I think I would easily do that, especially the quarterback market with the way they were getting injured, especially this year. I think if you can trade for these quarterbacks that can give you pretty decent production, I would try and trade for as many as you can. Or for a second. So he is going for seconds and second and a third. So these are the type of deals I would make for a guy like Daniel Jones. I think he's still got quite a bit left in the tank. Young, 26 years old, plenty of time left, and he'll be the starter for the Giants for the future.
No, for sure. Agree with that 1,000%. Anyways, let's get into my last one here. I have another running back, and it is going to be from the Carolina Panthers, Mr. Chuba Hubbard. Now, obviously, he's not the most entertaining name I've said today, but Chuba Hubbard still ranked 25th at running back last season, splitting with Miles Sanders most of the season. And he did have a decent year. 238 carries for 902 yards, 5 touchdowns on the season. Now imagine he got all of Sanders' carries or a majority of his carries. He would be well over 1,000 yards, potentially 8 touchdowns on the ground. Averaging 3.8 yards a carry. That's not great, but it's not bad either considering how bad this Carolina team is. I think this Carolina team is not going to be that great this next year. They don't have a solid receiving room, so they're going to have to rely on the run game. And I think his numbers are just going to progressively increase, seeing how bad Miles Sanders did in his first season with them. And plus, he's playing on the last year of his rookie contract, so anytime that happens, I love these guys. And Chuba Hubbard is going to have a big year for me. I think if you can get him for anywhere near a third, I'd probably do it if you're running back needy. If you have a running back 1, 2, and you want like a depth piece, I think he's a great fit there. Even as a running back 2, I don't hate it. depending who your running back 1 is. And I like Chuba Hubbard this year. He does also work in the receiving game, which is not talked about too much. 233 yards in the air last season. Don't forget, he split with Miles Sanders majority of the way. So these numbers are a little low. They should be higher if he does get the full workload. So don't forget about that and draft you some Chuba Hubbard. He's currently the running back 47. So pretty low right there. I'd take a chance on him.
The only thing that does scare me with Chuba Hubbard is Carolina actually don't have a first, so I don't know if they're going to be able to draft a running back. If they can really, there was so many things to prioritize on that roster. I don't think they can really prioritize a running back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does come back. And like I've been saying, if you could trade one of those wide receiver 3s that are capped on upside, and you can get any of these running backs, just
why
do
not?
it, because all you need is injuries, and I don't know, I just feel like running backs are a lot easier to have these spike weeks than these wide receiver 3s. So that's gonna do it for our buy lows. Next week we're gonna come at you guys with the buy our guys that we would sell high.
Sell high, yeah.
Overvalued right now. And anything else to add?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell for all the notifications of our future content, and follow us on our socials, BGF Podcast. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and X, Twitter. And pretty much wraps it up. So have a great rest of the day, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.